and the process of beautiful reading aloud. So I've got here, we were on page 17 or page 15 for you.
Yeah.
Cultivating the body.
Yes. Ow.
For me to read, Vicky, you don't look like reading is a thing that would be nice for you.
It's maybe fine. It'll be fine. Do a bit, and if I choke, you can take over, Claire.
You're not feeling very well.
I've got like a fluey thing, but you know, like one of those fluey things where you've got a bit of a sore throat and you've got a bit of a cough and you feel fluey, so you take paracetamol and you can function and you're not dying, so you carry on going to work. That kind of fluey thing. I mean, you just feel generally a bit shitty, but I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a sore throat. My sister messaged me the other day. She said, I've got a sore throat. And the following day, she's like, I've got a bit of a cough. I messaged her this morning and said, I've got your sore throat. I've got a bit of a cough. And she's like, I've not even seen you, dick. So I have caught it via my phone.
That's really funny. I actually think that too. I think you can get people's stuff by them telling you about it.
Okay. I hope not. People tell me all the time they've got some awful neurological disease. I don't want any of those.
No.
Exactly.
No, and you haven't got that, so that's bollocks then.
Yeah. Right. Cultivating the body.
Oh, here we go.
Tendon changing. What the heck is that? How do we change our tendons and why is that so important? Good questions. The Taoists use terms that sound familiar to our Western ears, but they don't quite mean what we think. For example, the word organs to a Western mind refers to physically differentiated tissues that perform specific functions, located in one specific area of the body. To the Taoist, however, organs refers not only to the physical organs as we know and love them in the West, but also to an organ function dispersed throughout the body. Similarly, blood to our Taoist friends doesn't just flow through our veins, it flows through our meridians and nourishes our tendons. Tendons are more than simply the connective tissues that join a muscle to a bone. In Taoism, tendons include ligaments and muscles, fascia and nerves, as well as other soft body tissues. So they're just blooming everything then. Tendon changing practices are ones that target a wide range of tissues and involve stressing, strengthening, and massaging these tissues. Of interest to our exploration is that tendon changing deliberately targets not just the muscles, but also the joints and ligaments. The intention is to regain our natural dynamic state, our original or optimal ranges of motion. The Taoist practices for cultivating the body include both yin and yang forms of exercise, just as the original Hatha yoga practices did. Bone exercises include a technique called marrow washing. Fortunately, we don't actually extract our bone marrow and clean it before sucking it back in. This is marrow, not marrow. Capital marrow washing incorporates slow, smooth pressure applied to our joints and bones. This is a yin-like way to stress the bones and joints. There is a more yang-like way, which involves hitting and grinding the bones, but that technique is quite as hysteric. Breath work is also very important to fully cultivate the body. It includes deep abdominal breathing, natural and unforced, breathing through the mouth, through the nose, through both mouth and nose, through the perineum, don't understand that one, and several other more esoteric practices. Tortoise breathing is notable because tortoises live so long, they must be doing something right. They breathe very lightly when they are huddled inside their shells. In fact, they barely breathe at all. No doubt you are already familiar with some of the classical exercises performed in Taoism called Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong. These practices look like slow motion calisthenics, but really they are designed to move energy internally. They combine stretching, breathing, and meditation. They can be performed while sitting, standing, and even walking. If our tendons are healthy and soft, if our energy channels are open, then these practices will facilitate the flow of inner energy. Splendid.
Okay, Claire then.
You just find a tissue.
Stop.
How do you breathe through your perineum, Sophie?
Breathe through all sorts of parts of the body. You can breathe through the middle,
Breathe through your hands.
through your eyebrows, through your hands. That's it, through the chakras.
Perineum.
So I'm going to start with the practice of yin yoga, yes? Chapter 2.
Yes, please.
How we practice is much more important than what we practice. Too often, yoga students force themselves into contorted positions with no regard for whether what they are doing is helping them or hurting them. Their egos are in control, and the ego wants to look good in front of others. Yoga has never been a competitive sport. It is an inward practice designed to build awareness, non-attachment, equanimity, and contentment. We do not use the body to get into a pose. We use the pose to get into the body. Practiced correctly, yoga can provide numerous physiological benefits whilst offering the deep inner calm and insights treasured by the yogis of old. We simply have to practice mindfully with intention, attention, and intention. In this chapter, we will look at the question of how to practice yin yoga. In chapter 3, we will then be ready to look at the asanas most commonly used in yin yoga. Not nearly as many asanas are required in the yin style of yoga as are found in the more active practices. There are perhaps 36 postures at most, excluding variations. We will discover the most common poses and examine them in detail, including variations, options, and some contradictions. Can't read tonight.
That comforts me. That one.
Contraindications, is it?
I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds better than what I said.
Yeah.
Contraindications.
Contraindications.
Can't. In chapter 4, we'll investigate several flows, which are simply linking together of asanas in logical sequence with a central theme or purpose in mind. The asanas presented will not exhaust the possible poses one can do in yin yoga, and the flows will be even less exhaustive. While yin yoga generally targets the lower body, it is possible to apply the philosophy to any area. We will look briefly at some upper body yin yoga practices as well in chapter 5, special conditions that yin yoga may assist with, such as pregnancy, knee issues, and low back disorders. How to practice yin yoga. Having seated himself in a room and free from all anxieties, the student should practice yoga as instructed by his guru. Straightforward advice. What type of room, you may wonder? Well, the room is easy to come by. Simply find a small room of 4 cubits square, free from stones, fire, water, and disturbances of all kind. And in a country where justice is properly administrated, where good people live and food can be obtained easily and plentifully, the room should have a small door, be free from holes, hollows, neither too high nor too low, well plastered with cow dung, and free from dirt, filth, and insects. Clearly, advice given in ages past may not be ideal for us now. Having a good teacher who can interpret the teachings and intentions of the gurus of yore and bring the teachings to us in a modern manner is invaluable. In India, where the days were very warm and sometimes scorchingly hot, asana practices were often done very early in the morning. Is that the best time to do yin yoga? Let's examine the question. When to practice yin yoga? There absolutely are no absolutes. The question of when to practice yin yoga has no single answer. It depends on what we would like to achieve through our practice. It comes down to our intention. We could do our yin practice when our muscles are cool, so they don't steal the stress away from the deeper tissues. This will be explained in chapter 6. Early in the morning when the muscles are more likely to be cool. Later in the evening before bed to calm the mind before sleep. Before an active yang practice, again, before the muscles become too warmed up. In the spring or summer to balance a natural yang time of year. When life has become very hectic, to balance the yang energies in our lives. After a long trip, traveling is very yang, even if we are sitting down a lot. During a menstrual cycle to conserve energies. We could set an intention to maximize the physiological benefits of our yin yoga practice. to work into our joints and connective tissues. Or we could intend to maximize the emotional and psychological benefits, to deepen our mindfulness practice. Or we could decide to work on our energy body to increase the flows of energy or remove blockages. Depending upon which intention we set, the best time to practice may vary. Physiologically, yin yoga targets the deeper connective tissues. If the muscles are warm and active, they will tend to absorb most of the stress of the pose. So we want the muscles to be relaxed. When we do yin yoga early in the morning, the muscles have not yet woken up. This is why we sometimes feel stiff when we first wake up. In the same way, doing our yin practice before an active yang practice allows the stress to settle deeper into our tissues. By the end of the day, our muscles have been warmed up and are at their longest. The physical benefits of a yin practice will be fewer at this time. However, the psychological benefits may be greater. The daytime is yang. A yin practice before going to sleep may balance this energy. Similarly, the spring and summer are yang times of year. When life is busy or we spend many hours traveling, these are yang times. Balance is achieved when we cultivate yin energies. However, a yin practice is not recommended when we have already been very placid. After sitting at a desk for 8 hours in the dead of a dull, dark, damp winter's day, a more active practice may create balance much better than a yin practice. Listening to your inner guide may give you the best answer to the question, is this a time for yin or yang? Hot yin. Hot yin. Does this make any sense? Isn't hot yin an oxymoron? The temperatures in these studios are not the full-on 105 degrees F or 40 degrees C, common in hot yoga classes, but rather a cooler 78 to 95 or 25 to 35 C. Still, at those temperatures, hot yin means the muscles will be quite warm, which goes against the idea of doing yin yoga when the muscles are cool. So why do so many studios and students love their hot yin classes? Again, it comes down to intention. While it is certainly true that more stress will reach the ligaments and deeper connective tissues when the body is cooler, see the section in chapter 6 on cold muscles versus warm muscles, this does not mean there is no benefit at all to stressing our tissues when the body is warm. Even with warm muscles, the ligaments receive some stress. And for many people, only when their body is warmed up can they move deep enough into a posture to achieve a stress in their targeted tissues. In other words, some students need to be warm to get any sensation or stress. We can generalize and say that the cooler the tissues, the more that the stress from a pose will be experienced by the deeper tissues. But this does not mean that no benefit is gained by stressing a warm body in a yin way. Being warmed up may mean that most students won't get the maximum physiological benefits, but they will still benefit. And for some students, being warmer may be the only time they get those benefits. Please realize that the benefits from yin yoga are not purely physical. Students also benefit from the stillness the practice offers. The opportunity to come to an edge, become still, and be with sensations is still available even in a hot room. Indeed, there may be more sensations to be aware of in a hot room. The opportunity to practice mindfulness is enhanced by remaining still for 3, 5, or 10 minutes at a time. The temperature of the room need not diminish the quality of the mindfulness practice. Indeed, this is one reason why many people are adding hot yin to their yoga practice. It is their chance to calm the mind and practice presence. Another benefit is the energetic stimulation available in yin yoga. Whenever an edge is felt, whenever a posture challenges us physically, tissues are being stressed. These stresses create mechanical, electrical, and chemical signals that travel through the body and can change the quality of the tissues that transmit these signals. In the East, this is called prana or qi, which flows through nadis and meridians. The Taoists call the mechanical stimulation acupressure. Even in a hot room, the body can experience acupressure, which stimulates energies to flow. While it is true that more physiological benefits may be available to the student who practices in a cooler environment, It is not true to say that practicing yin yoga in a warm room is not healthy or beneficial. In fact, that hot yin has become popular. The fact that hot yin has become popular attests to the fact that people are getting benefits from the practice. Can it be too much? Is there a danger that in a hot room the tissues may be stressed too much? Of course, anything can be overdone. However, this is a risk for a hot yang yoga practice more than for a hot yin practice, because the hot yoga movements are deeper and more dynamic than those used in yin yoga. Whether in a hot or cool room, students must always check in and see what their body is telling them and respect those signals. Inherently, however, there is no reason to avoid hot yin. If you like being in a warm room, enjoy it. It's certainly better than not doing any yin at all.
That's interesting, isn't it? I don't know whether he's liking it or not.
I'd like it, I think.
I think it depends, like, on the time of year as well. Maybe you'd probably maybe enjoy it more in the winter than the summer. I don't know. I think it'd be nice. Anything's nice in that hot room.
Yeah.
I'd do anything in that room.
Hot yin with Martin. Nobody understood what it was.
I think sometimes people just don't get things as clear as it may seem.
You see, my cousin teaches yin. She teaches yin in Dubai. There's no aircon. It's like a chuffing oven.
Well, yeah, those hot countries,
Hot
it's
yin.
hot, won't it? It's not intentional,
Yeah.
maybe, but it's a hot country, so therefore you're hot.
It wouldn't be called hot yin, would it, though?
No, it's just yin.
But they're practicing in a situation where we would be in a hot room that would be the same. We just live in a cold, miserable country.
It's just
you need the hot room.
It's just a term, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually, it's not that hot, is it? Really, it's like a nice, comfy temperature, 25. Feel like I'm on holiday.
Yeah, you would do yin yoga on holiday and not bat an eyelid.
There you are.
What's it? Have you got the 3 tattvas of yin yoga practice?
What is that?
Where have they gone? We mentioned them. Where are they? I can't remember.
What have you got on yours next?
Before you practice functional yoga, and then the 3 tattvas of yin yoga practice.
Yeah, let's just read that.
The 3 tattvas of yin yoga practice.
Yeah.
A tattva is the reality of a thing or its category or principal nature. Sarah Powers offers us 3 very simple and effective principles for the yin practice. 1, come into the pose to an appropriate depth. 2, resolve to remain still. 3, hold the pose for time. Remembering these 3 principles as you practice will simplify everything. The first principle, which applies to any yoga asana, is often called playing our edge. Playing our edge. The first principle of yin yoga is this. Every time you come into a pose, go only to the point where you feel a significant resistance in the body. Don't try to go as deeply as possible right away. Give your body a chance to open up and wait to be invited to go deeper. After 30 seconds or a minute, usually the body releases and greater depth is possible, but not always. Listen to your body and respect its requests. Consider your will and your body as 2 dancers moving in total unison. Too many beginning and even experienced yoga students make their yoga into a wrestling match. The mind contending with the body, forcing it into postures that the body is resisting. Yoga is a dance, not a wrestling match. The essence of yin is yielding. Yang is about changing the world. Yin accepts the world as it is. Neither is better than the other. There are indeed times when it is appropriate and even necessary to change the world. Other times, it is best to just allow things to unfold. Part of the yin practice is learning this yielding. This philosophy is reflected well in a prayer that has uncertain roots. It's been circulating the world for perhaps 100 years and speaks to this very challenge of balancing yin and yang. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Grant me the courage to change the things I can change, and grant me the wisdom to know the difference. Harmony or balance in life comes from this wisdom, which must be earned and learned through our own experience. Our first tattva is the opportunity to gain this wisdom. Listen to your body and go to your edge. When and if the body opens and invites you in deeper, then accept the invitation and go to the next edge. Once at this new edge, again pause and wait for the next opening. In this manner, we play with our edges, each time awaiting a new invitation. We ride the edges with a gentle flowing breath, like a surfer riding the waves of the ocean. The surfer doesn't fight against the ocean, she goes with it. When you come into the pose, drop your expectations of how you should look or be. There is a destructive myth buried inside the Western yoga practice that we should achieve a model shape in each pose. That is, we should look like some model on the cover of a yoga magazine. To dislodge this myth, we should adopt this mantra. We don't use our body to get into a pose, we use the pose to get into our body. Once you've reached an edge, pause, go inside and notice how it feels. The pose is working if you can feel the body being stretched, squeezed, or twisted. Another mantra to adopt in our practice is, if you are feeling it, you are doing it. You don't need to go any further if you are already feeling a significant stretch, compression, or twist. Going further is a sign of ego. Staying where you are is embracing yin. This is not an excuse to stay back and not go deep into the posture. When we play our edges, we come to the point of significant resistance. This will entail some discomfort. Yin yoga is not meant to be comfortable. It will take you well outside your comfort zone. Much of the benefit of the practice will come from staying in this zone of discomfort, despite the mind's urgent pleas to leave. This too is part of the practice. As long as we're not experiencing pain, we remain. Pain is always a one-way ticket out of the pose, a signal that we are tearing the body or close to doing so. Burning sensations, sharp stabbing pains, or tingling electrical-like pains are definite no-nos and warrant coming out of the pose immediately. Dull, achy sensations are to be expected, however. No teacher can know what you are feeling, so be your own guru at these times and develop your own wisdom. The Goldilocks philosophy. Remember the tale of Goldilocks and the three bears? Goldilocks found the mama bear's bed too soft and the papa bear's bed too hard, but the baby bear's bed was just right. The Goldilocks philosophy is not a posture, but rather advice about how deep we should go in our poses to ensure we achieve optimal health. Note, we are not talking about maximum performance. That is the trade-off we have to understand. Whenever we practice yoga, we need to be clear about our intentions. Are we striving for optimal health, or are we working towards some performance goal? Athletes, dancers, and gymnasts may well be trying to maximize their range of motion, but this does not mean they're getting healthier. Quite the contrary, many athletes and dancers have significant joint issues in later life because they dangerously stress their bodies to obtain maximum performance when they were younger. The optimal position for health is given by the Goldilocks philosophy, not too much and not too little. This can be shown graphically. Figure 2.1 shows a classic N-shaped curve that illustrates the danger of being outside the optimal bounds. If we apply too little stress to our tissues, they atrophy. All living things require some stress to be healthy. However, if we apply too much stress, tissues degenerate. Many scientific studies have verified this N-shaped curve. To obtain maximum health, we need to find that place where the tension in our poses is just right, not too deep, which creates degeneration, and not too little, which promotes atrophy. Anti-fragility. There are many respects in which human beings can be said to be anti-fragile. Anti-fragility refers to a condition whereby an entity gains from randomness, stress, and disorder. We can use the example of our bones. Compared to a beam of wood, which breaks down over time, the wood is fragile. Our bones get stronger with repeated stress. Bones are anti-fragile up to a point. They gain strength with increasing stress. Something fragile suffers from chaos and change. Machines, such as computers or cars, are fragile. They wear out over time and with accumulated stresses. On the other hand, within certain limits, living organisms get stronger with stress. You are not a machine. Stress, up to a point, makes you stronger, not weaker. You are anti-fragile. This is illustrated in figure 2.2. As stress increases to a limit indicated by point B on the graph, you continue to gain health. If you go past the limit, you become fragile and lose health. However, staying at point A, where there is no stress, also reduces your level of health. Staying at point A may be comfortable, but it is not healthy. Comfort is the opposite of stress. Modern living tends to seek stress-free conditions where we are comfortable, but this comes at a terrible cost, fragility. Said another way, comfort is fragilizing. Oh, that's a good word. It may seem quite counterintuitive to suggest that someone who is injured should deliberately stress the injured area. The apparently obvious course of action is to rest it, leave it alone, and take all stress off the damaged or weakened tissue. While this is comfortable, we pay a price for that comfort. The protected tissues atrophy and become even more unhealthy. We need some stress, but in the presence of injury, the margin between too much stress and not enough stress is very narrow. Great care is needed when dealing with injured tissues to ensure we don't go too far, but we still need to subject the tissue to some stress. The Goldilocks philosophy applies. Yes, it is possible to go too far and damage a joint, but this does not mean that the other extreme is healthier. To never stress a joint is to invite atrophy, pathology, and fragility. We have to find the middle path of not too much and not too little. A popular saying summarizes the reality of anti-fragility: use it or lose it. Other edges. Our edges are not only physical, we have emotional and mental edges too. You may be unconsciously holding back from going deeper to avoid a flood of painful memories, thoughts, or feelings. You may not be ready for these yet. Honor your edges wherever they appear, and above all, notice them. Playing our edges is not always a go further process. Often we go forward, pause, maybe back up a little, wait, and then go again or just stop there. Our edges are always changing, and today may be quite different than yesterday. Our bodies change. Some days we retain more water in our tissues than other days. Water retention affects our flexibility. Our edges will not be in the same place every day. Accept these changes and just take what is offered. Acceptance is the essence of yin.
I reckon that's why you like yin, Claire. It's just like, if you don't feel good, don't do it. Feels good, do it a bit longer. Just do what you want, love.
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Yeah.
Obviously, go with the flow as much as you can. You can't always go with the flow, can you?
No. It's nice to try, though.
It is.
Why can't you always go with the flow?
Well, sometimes there's other constrictions, isn't there? Like you have to go to work or you have to.
Oh, that sort of flow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a different flow. Different flow comes in. It's like a cross path,
Yeah.
cross river flow.
Hopping into a different channel.
So we've had quite a good read of that. You want to carry on reading? I think you've both read further anyway, haven't you?
Yeah. I read up to chapter 3, and then obviously we've looked at the postures.
So go on.
I did a bit of reading the other end of it as well, but it gets quite deep and technical.
Quite a lot to read in them.
I feel like I need to read little and often of that.
I'm just going to put down we've read up to page 37. Well, it's my book, it's 37. What page is it for your book?
28.
Oh, is it?
You're whizzing ahead in your book.
No. Well, I didn't have half of the stuff you'd read.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You really rewrote it then.
right. So we're going to be looking at other bits of things that studying in next week. Emotional anatomy, 5 stages, but we'll start with practical and then we'll sort of waft around things, looking at